So now I'm recording the session and I'll get the video together and I'll send you the link to it later on. It takes a while to build a video and convert it and change it and do all sorts of stuff. So it is a time-consuming process. So I will get it to you shortly. So what I am planning today is just to give you the overview. It is a revision session. So what I want to do is, first of all, just give you an introduction and go through the whole exam process with you in terms of how it works and all that good stuff. And then, we'll get into the individual subjects in more depth. So on that basis, let me see. Just in terms of the exam, now I don't know, did you see, you got the links to the videos of Saturdays.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you've had a chance to looking at it. If not, that's fine. Don't worry about it. That's why we're here. But look, it might be no harm to have a look at it. And in particular, Paul's one on credit management, because when I was preparing for today, I said to myself, do you know what? There is nothing I can tell you that Paul hasn't already said. So for the credit management subject, the best form of revision is to listen to what he had to say, to go through the mock exam that he went through, and he gives you pointers for the real exam as well. So that is that. And what I'm going to focus on today is the introduction and also on risk as well. So, I know that's the topic that's causing most people most grief. So we'll see if we can eliminate that within the next hour. Is that okay? So I'm also hoping that you'll be done and dusted within an hour at least or less. So whenever we're done and you're happy, we are done. So what is going to happen is on Saturday or on in February. So on Saturday, what will happen is I will be sending out the exam papers via email. Okay, so you will get the exam paper. So if you are doing both subjects, you will get your first paper, which is the risk paper, as I said to Kieran there earlier, at 10 to 10. So I give you 10 minutes just to read the paper and to go through it. And then you get started at 10 o'clock. And the first paper at 10 a.m. is risk. And the risk paper will look identical to the mock paper. So in terms of you will receive it in an Excel spreadsheet and the individual questions are on tabs at the bottom of the spreadsheet. Is that all right? The
Hmm.
one thing I will ask you to do is that when I send the exam paper at 10 to 10, if you could just acknowledge saying received, got it, or whatever the case may be. So it just helps me to relax because I'm sending these emails out into the ether and we have, 40 odd students on Saturday, and I just want to make sure everybody's got them because I don't know. And look, if 10 o'clock comes and there's no sign of it, by all means, I'm sitting at the desk. So drop me an email and say, look, I didn't get it or whatever the case may be. So if there is a problem, we'll fix it on the day. So that is that. So you'll get your paper at 10 to 10, the risk paper at 10 to 10. And really the only decisions that you have to make at that stage. So you will know now from the mock paper how the paper is formatted. So there is question one, which will be to prepare a trading profit and loss account based on a trial balance that you'll be given and adjustments. That is question one. And question two then is the percentages and the analysis of accounts. Okay. So that is question one and question two, and they are compulsory and they have to be done. And then you will have six other questions that you have to answer two of. So if you don't like a particular area, forget it. Doesn't matter. It just means you're reducing your choice instead of from 2 out of 6. Now it's 2 out of 5 because you're not going to be able to do that. So that's fine. So you just focus on two areas, and that is it. And then you do that. Now, the one thing that is absolutely key, particularly for risk, so whether you're doing it now or you're doing it in February, the one thing that is key is time management. So again, if you look at the mock paper and the mark distribution for the questions, we mark the exam out of 140 because and there is a logic for picking a stupid figure like 140. Why would you mark an exam out of 140? The reason we do that is because the exam accounts for 70% of the marks. So you get 10% of your marks for the short tests, 20% of your marks for the assignments, and then 70% of the marks for the um, written exam. So on that basis, we mark the exam out of 140. So you get 50 marks for question one, you get 50 marks for question two, and 20 marks each then for any of the other two questions. So from a time management perspective, will you make sure that with 2 hours available to do the exam, spend 40 minutes on question one, 40 minutes on question two, and 20 minutes on the other two questions. That will fit into your 2 hour cycle, and it just means that you get to attempt every question. Is that okay? I have
Mhm.
seen people spend an hour and 3/4 trying to get the balance sheet to balance. And they're only going to pick up 1 or 2 marks. And then the whole other body. So set your alarm during the exam, and once the 40 minutes is up, stop, move on to the next question, do that, and then when you're 40 minutes, if you're doing the question one and two first, which I would advise because that's where your big marks are, then after 40 minutes, stop, then 20 minutes on the next question, 20 minutes on the next question. Is that okay?
Mhm.
Now, on the short question, just in case you have lots of time and you're sitting there wondering what to do with your time, um, you can answer a third question if you want. I'm just throwing that out there. And what we will do is we will mark all the questions that you submit and we will give you the best 3 marks. Okay, so it's not a wasted effort. So we'll mark the tree. So if you get, 60% for one, 65% for two, and 41% for the third, we'll ignore the 41% and give you the top 2 marks. So we don't just correct the first 4 questions or whatever. We will mark them all and we give you the best mark. So now, look, I've seen people do all 8 and make a mess of it. So let's not do that either. The job of an exam is to maximize your marks and show us what you have learned. So so time management is the important part. Now it is, and how you do the paper is a matter for yourself how you do it. If you want to save the exam paper you receive onto your laptop and answer the questions on the spreadsheet, that's fine. Or if you want to create another spreadsheet, or if you want to, you know, I think one person, God bless them, hand wrote all the questions and scanned it and submitted it. Now, it wasn't our favorite paper, and the fact that I remember it tells you everything. Anyway, look, it is an option if that's the way. Probably easier to do it within the spreadsheet if you have any knowledge of Excel at all. So that is that. And then, as I say, be it if you're doing the risk exam on Saturday, you have to submit that to me by 12 o'clock, 12 noon. And then that's it. It's in the bag. It's gone. We'll have an hour's break on Saturday between 12 and 1. And then if you're only doing the credit management exam on Saturday, then at 10 to 1, I will be sending the credit management paper out. Okay. Now, there's 2 parts, and again, you would have seen from the mock paper, and the real exam is going to be the same. There are 2 parts to the credit management paper. Part one is the multiple choice questions. So you have 50 questions to submit within 1 hour. So I will send you the paper at 10 to 1. You start working on it straight away or at 1 o'clock, and then you have until 2 o'clock to submit your answers to me on that. Now, what I would say to you is, and look, we know it's an open book exam. The exam isn't on Zoom. We're not looking at you, you're all on your own doing the exam. So we are not so stupid to think that you haven't got the notes in front of you as you're doing it. And on the basis of the exam that we have, that's the way it works. My advice to you is when you get the multiple choice questions, just go through them first yourself and see how many, because yeah, hopefully you'll know a lot of them anyway. So just go through it first and see which ones you know. If you're going to be looking to find that section within the notes, you are going to send your own stress levels through the roof. Is that okay? Because 50 questions in an hour, do the sums, it's only 1 minute per question. So the fact that you can find the module, find the section, find the part, find the notes and put it in, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. So let's not do that. So look, get this multiple choice, go down through it first of all to answer all the questions. Yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that. Not sure about that. Then leave it. Yeah, and then move on because I can't remember now I'm trying I can't remember whether it's a Word document or a Excel document, but anyway, it's one or the other. So you just highlight the correct answer in it. So either way, you can go back. So that is that. Um, and I suppose my advice to you is if you don't know, take a guess. There is no negative marking in the paper. So we're not going to deduct a mark from you if you get something stupid. So if you pick an answer, what's the worst you can do? You get it wrong, you get no marks. If you leave a blank space, you're not going to get any marks, and you have a 25% chance you might get something. So, so let's play the system as best we can. So my advice is to put something in there as well. And then if you have lots of time, by all means, if you want to flick through the notes and find some answers, it has to be back to me within 1 hour. That's the only stipulation that I give. Now, if you want to submit your short tests early, and why would you want to do that? I'll tell you why you would want to do that. Because when you submit your multiple choice questions, what I will do is I will reply to your email when you send it, and I will attach the second part of the exam, which is the long questions. So if it only takes you 45 minutes to do the short questions and you submit that to me, that will then give you an extra 15 minutes to do the long questions. Yeah. So rather than just sitting there looking at it, if you're done and you're done, um, then submit the test to me. And once I get it, then I will click reply, attach the exam paper and send it back to you. And that's your acknowledgement that I have got your short tests as well. Is that okay?
Yep.
So, so,
Yep.
so that is that. And then the long question. So again, in credit management, I think that there are, oh, no. When you have the mock paper there, so you only have to answer two of the long questions. I think, I can't remember how many questions are on the mock paper. Maybe I
Mm.
should have prepared before I spoke to you, but I've delegated this to Paul. Let me just have a look here. Um, Mock credit management exam. No, that's not it. Sorry.
Please answer any two questions.
Out of how many?
There is four of them.
Four of them. That's
Four
grand. Yeah.
questions, yeah.
So again, so you only have to know half. Come on. This is getting easier by the minute here.
You make it sound
Of course, it's
easy.
easy. Well, it's easy if you do the work, read the notes, submit the short test, do the assignments, and turn up at the revision sessions. Then it's easy. If you're to sit down day one and do it, you would be absolutely lost. So you'll have four questions on the paper, and when you listen to Paul's thing, he will tell you what four questions are going to be on the real exam. Is that
Okay.
okay? So he's not going to give you the questions now, but he's going to say, look, in module one, at the start of module one or at the end of module two or whatever, there is a question on whatever. So just to that you can focus your studies over the next few days and then you say, okay, well, look, I'll answer a question on that, I'll ask a question on that. I hate that particular area. I'm going to leave that out. And even if a question does come up, it means I have to answer two from three. That is fine too. All right. So that is that. Um, and then what we hope to do is within a couple of weeks. So I think I said on Saturday that I'm hoping to have the results out by the 7th of February. So that's the challenge that we have. So we're not going to leave you waiting for ages to get the results. So we will turn the results around. And believe it or not, that is fairly quickly because by the time we get them, we check them, we correct them, we send them off for adjudication and all that kind of stuff. It does take a couple of weeks for us to do that. And if you then decide to do the risk exam in February, maybe the 7th be a bit, we'll see when the time comes. The fact there's only a couple at worst, we probably will be able to turn it around. So that's that. So you're not going to be penalized in any way. And then hopefully then you're all set to take a break and come back then on the 15th for the second term. So that is all you need to know in terms of the exam structure, etc. Um, that is all you need to know about today. What I was thinking of doing today, and I'll be guided by yourselves as well. What I was thinking of doing today is just focusing on risk and just focusing on question one and question two. Because if you think about question one and question two, if you get question one completely right, you get 50 marks out of 140. Now, you only need 78 out of 140 to pass. No, you don't. You need less. 140. Sorry, 140 multiplied by zero point 0.4. 56 is all you need out of 140 to get a pass. So a pass mark is 40%. So a really good question one, and you're almost there. So if you put anything on the page for question two, and you will get marks for everything that you have right. So that's the whole thing about it. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, the what you put down is right, and that's what it's all about. And if you get something wrong, then a mark will be deducted. Okay, so just let me, and I know I've done this before, but I'll do it again. And what I'll do is I will share my screen with you here. Screen to share. Okay, so you should be able to see my paper, which is the risk mock paper, and that hopefully is the paper that you're looking at as well. Yeah. Now, did you have a chance to attempt the mock paper yourselves? I'm just asking the question. The fact that I'm getting silence might give me a negative hunch here. Um, I think, look, if you did well and good, if you didn't, that's fine too. It would be great practice if you could just block off 2 hours, sit down on your own with a blank page or something or a spreadsheet and just have a go at doing it. And with the time constraints as well, the 40 minutes to do each question, just to see how you go. Because if you've done it already, then doing it again is easy. All right. So here is question one in the mock paper. And the one thing that we will advise you very carefully to do, so you get all the data, so you get your details, the trial balance, you get your adjustments, and then on the bottom you get your instructions. So read the instructions very carefully, and that goes for all questions in risk and all questions in credit management. So read the question and read it carefully and make sure that you understand what we are looking for. And there's no trick questions. We're not here to trip you up. We do ask the question. So in this case of question one, there are three things required. So you are required to prepare one, a schedule of adjustments. So that's the first thing you do. B, a trading profit and loss account for the year end, and C, a balance sheet. So what we are looking for to answer this question are those three elements. Is that okay? And the same way in credit management, the one thing to look for, particularly for the long questions, is the verb. So the verb will tell you what we're looking for. So if it's list, if it's discuss, if it's draw up, if it's explain, it will tell you what we're looking for. And I know the one example that I gave on Saturday, and it still comes back to haunt me. And it was a super, super student. And the question in the credit management exam paper was pretty simple. And it was explain the benefits of having a credit policy. Yeah. So you that knows credit management, we thought that was a very fair question and a very simple question. And why I will never forget it is this person wrote the most fantastic answer I have ever seen. They knew the topic inside out and backwards, and they told me everything they knew about credit policies, which was extensive. And they told me what a credit policy was and what it does and how it should be implemented and how it should be executed and what it should contain. And as I was reading these wonderful words off a page, the only thought on my mind was, can you please give me a benefit? The question is, what is the benefit of having a credit policy? And I read the whole paper, and as impressed as I was with the knowledge, because they didn't give me a benefit, I couldn't give them any marks. And that's sad. So, and then that's one that's the fact that I'm telling you this a long time later, it stuck with me as, in terms of reading the question. So please read the question. What are they looking for here? And also, and maybe I should say this right from the very start, particularly with credit management, um, the exam and the short test and the multiple choice questions and everything is based on the material for the course. Yeah. So if you're asked a question about credit policies and you go into ChatGPT and ask it to write you a whole essay on credit policies, if it doesn't link to what you've learned, then obviously we're pretty good at spotting that. So that is not going to wash. So it's based on the notes. So the exam is the confirmation that you have covered the notes, you understand the notes, and you can apply the notes. So anyway, that is that. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we're just going to have a go at question one, and just to make sure that you are clear in terms of what is required, what is expected, and how to do the question. So look, it's very, very simple. The question is, to do a schedule of adjustments, a trading profit and loss account, and a balance sheet. You have done this in the notes. You have done this for your first assignment. You have done this, lots of different times. So this is just one more time. A bit more pressure because it's an exam and you only have 40 minutes. So breaking down your 40 minutes. So the first thing you have to do is a schedule of adjustments. Now, why on earth would you even bother adjusting? You have a perfectly good trial balance there with all the numbers in it that's recorded all the transactions that happened in the business within the year, and that is fine. The reason, and I want you to understand this, the reason you have to adjust the accounts is that your profit and loss account for the 31st of December 2023, the information that you were looking for is, did we make a profit or a loss for the period from the 1st of January 23 to the 31st of January 23? Okay, did we make a profit in that period? Okay, so that's the information that we're looking for. So just keep that in your mind that what we're doing is we are doing this for the period. So there are all the numbers that you've extracted. That is fine. So here we have cumulative depreciation on motor vehicles. That is up to the end of last year. Another year now has elapsed. So additional depreciation has to be added because the another year has gone by and the asset is worth less than it was at the start of the year. So that is that. So the first thing is depreciation to be provided on motor vehicles at 20% of cost. So let's just put uh, motor. Okay, so depreciation on motor. So we know from the trial balance that our cumulative depreciation, and this is your adjustment and adjusted figure. So this is the balance. So depreciation on motor vehicles is 26,100. That's in the trial balance. That's what it says, right? The adjustment says depreciation to be provided at 20% of cost. So that is 20% of motor vehicles at cost. And we can see there they cost 43,500. Now, if you want, depending on your knowledge of Excel, if you want to do plus that star point, it's 20% of cost. So it's God, my head's gone. Multiplied by zero point 0.2, yeah, 20%. Um, you can just put in the formulas rather than numbers. So that was your depreciation in your P&L account. That is the instruction that you were given, depreciation at 20% of cost. So I had a figure of 26,100 and now I have a figure. So my new depreciation figure is 34,800. So that's what I have to do with line one. The second line is depreciation on fixtures and fittings, isn't it? Yeah, fixtures and fittings. So what is the balance there? So cumulative depreciation of fixtures and fittings is 26,400. They have to be depreciated at 10% of cost. So that is my fixtures and fittings at cost multiplied by 10%. It's 13,200. So now my adjusted figure for depreciation has gone up to 39,600. Yeah?
Mhm.
The interest payable on the loan for the last quarter is 5270 to be accrued. So I know I have to pay interest for the last quarter. I know it relates to last year. I know that I have to include it and I know they haven't charged it to me yet. So on that basis, the interest on the loan, I paid 15,800. That's what I paid. I know there's another 5270 charge to come in that I hasn't received yet. So my interest paid that I have to put into last year, sorry, um, it's this way I want to go. So that is my figure for interest for the year. And finally, insurance includes a policy costing 8,000 per annum, which is paid 12 months in advance on the 1st of July. So I know I paid 8 grand on the 1st of July. So I got an invoice for 8,000. I paid the 8,000. The 8,000 is in my accounts. But I also know because I want to see if I'm making a profit or loss in that year, that out of that 8,000 that I paid, 4,000 relates to last year and 4,000 relates to next year. So if I want to look at my, where is it here? Rent rates uh, and insurance, um, that is 21,500, but I know that 4,000 of that relates to next year. So plus that minus that. So my adjusted figure for rent rates and insurance is 17,500 because that's how much relates to last year. Okay. And then the provision for bad debts is to be adjusted to 1.5% of debtors. So what is my provision? Um, now you'll put in, if you want to copy them across, whatever. So my provision for bad debts is there. It's 5,500. So that's it there, 5,500. So I know what the provision is to be adjusted to 1.5% of debtors. So what is 1.5% of debtors? Well, there's my debtors figure. And if I multiply that by 0.015, yeah, to get 1%. So my provision is 5,500. I want my provision to be 7,127. So that has to be that minus that. So I need to adjust my provision by 1,627 to bring it to 7,127. Yeah. So it could say provision to be adjusted by, or, adjusted to 10% or whatever the case may be. So when it comes to adjustments, there's your 5 lines of adjustments. That's all. So we don't want you to get into debits and credits and pluses and minuses and all that kind of nonsense, because we know you're not an accountant and you don't want to be. So just to understand, that's the figure that's in the P&L account. That's the adjustment that I need to make the accounts correct, that I get a correct profit figure for the year. So this is the adjusted figure. And the other thing to know as well is that anything that's down here has to go in twice. So it goes into the P&L account as an expense for the year, and it also goes into the balance sheet as well. So that is that. So we're ready to go. We've done our P&L account. So now we have to move on to our P&L account. So that is that. So what I will do for the P&L account, rather than go through it, you know, individually, as the best people say, here's one I prepared earlier. Copy. So what I will do is here, I will just copy that in there. So there's paste. Oh yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah. Paste values to do this merge. Okay. Okay, can't do it. Right. Okay. That didn't work, did it? Sorry, just bear with me a second now. Um, oh God, you. Boom, 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 boom. Um, oh lads. I think it's that. Yeah, I think I just have to leave that bit out. No, that's it as well. Right, what I'll do is I'll just take the figures, copy. So what you will do is yeah. So you'll head it up, and make sure that you do head it up. So you call it. Sorry, just let me do this. Uh, Copy. So who is this guy here? Jack Jones Limited. Yeah, there's your Jack Jones Limited. And then do this. Copy. Um, Trading profit and loss account for year, whatever. Okay, so that's grand. Let's get rid of these lines or we'll confuse the life out of ourselves later on. No border, that's grand. And then let's just bring the figures in. So your P&L account is always in exactly the same format. Sales less cost of sales. So I'll just pop it in there. Down one line so I can read it. There we go. Stop. What am I after doing here? No, you see, I think I think I'm being clever and I'm not. Uh, plus purchases plus opening stock minus. Maybe I should have just done it, not to confuse you. Um, you see when you're doing. No, what am I after doing? Undo, 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 undo. Oh, it'd be far quicker just to do it. Sorry. Um, what went wrong there? Let me just try it one more time. Sorry about this, folks. Um, yeah, that worked. Unfortunately, these cells are merged. That's what's causing some grief here. Okay, so our sales figure is straight from our P&L account. And look, if you have a second, it might be no harm as you take the figures, to highlight them or whatever. So there's my sales figure. I've taken that. My cost of sales is my opening stock, which is the figure there. Yeah, less my closing stock, which is an adjustment. So I need to make sure that they're in twice. So it's in once there, which is fine, and it's once there. Then my purchases are there as well. So I've taken that figure and less my closing stock, which is that figure there. So that's my cost of sales. So I add my opening stock to my purchases, subtract closing stock, cost of sales, subtract that from my sales, and I get my gross profit. And that's your first branch of marks. Your your expenses, then you have your wages and salaries, which I've added in there, your admin expenses, which is there, your insurance. Now, your insurance is your adjusted figure in the insurance. Are you with me? So you don't take the figure from the P&L account, you take your adjusted figure, okay? Which is your insurance. Your depreciation charge is also your adjusted figure. So if you add those two figures together, you get 74,400, which hopefully is the figure I have here. Sorry, depreciation charge. Sorry, the depreciation charge is here. Sorry. So it's what so 21,900. So that's my depreciation, my adjusted figure there, and my increase in bad debts is the figure here from the provisions as well. So once I'm listing my expenses, making sure I have the adjusted figures, that will give me my total operating costs. And then I subtract my operating costs from my gross profit, get a net profit. Then I put in my interest paid, which again is the adjusted figure from here. And then I get my net profit before tax. That is it done. Has anyone got any questions on that before I move on to the balance sheet?
No, it's grand, thank you.
So you'll be able to give that a good go, put it in, and it's putting it into this format, where it's sales, cost of sales, gross profit, blah blah blah, less expenses, profit. So that's that. So now we go on to the balance sheet. Uh, the balance sheet. And again, just total it up with the company name and the balance sheet and the period and all that good stuff as well. Um, and then what we will do is here, and again, the let me see if this will work for me now. Balance sheet, paste. the format of the balance sheet is always the same. So it starts with fixed assets, or if you prefer, non-current assets, then your current assets, your current liabilities, and then your long-term liabilities. So it always goes in that order. So we put in our balance. So the balance sheet. So again, we come back down through here. Let's list. So we have our premises, 430,000, our motor vehicles at cost, which is from the P&L account. And then we have to take the cumulative depreciation into account as well. And again, we go back to our schedule of adjustments. So that's where, so we're putting it into our depreciation, into our expenses there, and we're putting it into our balance sheet there. So that's how the balance sheet will still balance because all the adjustments are in twice. Fixtures and fittings, there's the cost, there's the depreciation from your schedule of adjustments. That's your total of your fixed assets. Then you list your current assets, then your current liabilities, and then you subtract your current liabilities from your current assets to get your working capital or net worth. Then your mortgage. Now, the mortgage sometimes gets people because it says here that the the mortgage, there's 10 years remaining in the mortgage. So if there's 10 years remaining in the mortgage, then 9 years of that is a long-term loan. 1 year is a short-term loan because current means it has to be paid within the year. So all of the things being equal, if there's 10 years remaining on the mortgage, you have to pay 30,100 in the current year, and the balance is a long term. But again, look, if you forget to do that, you lose a mark, and it's not the end of the world. So that is the difference between your mortgage and your long-term liabilities. And that's not an adjustment. That's just a thing that you do. And then you add up your fixed assets, your net worth, and your subtract your long-term liabilities, and you get a figure. And then from that figure, then you say, where did that money come from? It came from the capital, which is in your P&L account, your retained profits, which is in your P&L account, and you also have to take the retained profit for this year as well. So always remember to take the profit for this year because that forms part of your new balance sheet as well. And when you do that, then if you've done it right, apart from my 60 cents, however that came into roundings or calculations or whatever, um, format cells. You see this, the perfection in me now as well. Uh, okay. So yeah, we want to get it to balance. So those two figures should balance. And you should do all that within 40 minutes, no problem at all. Because I've done it in a lot less than 40 minutes and I'm explaining it as I go. Um, so that is it. So get the format and you will get most of the marks. Put the numbers in, you will get a mark for every correct number that you put into the equation. If you if you get to the bottom here and you add up all this and you add up all this and these two figures don't agree, which I can nearly guarantee you they won't. So it's easy when you're looking at me doing it. It's not that easy when you have a blank page in front of yourself. So if they don't balance, the rule is don't panic. So just you've got something wrong somewhere along the line. Boo-hoo, that's fine. So a few pointers for this as well. Um, few pointers. Um, Number one, if say for example, is this is all yeah. No, I have numbers. No, I have numbers here. Sorry. Um, so if there is a difference, just subtract one number from the other to see what is your difference. And check through your P&L account and adjustments to see did you leave something out? Yeah?
Yeah. Hmm.
If you can't find the number that way, then divide the difference by two.
Be
So
two numbers.
if I have a difference of, um, let me think of a difference. If I have a difference of 4,000, right? So I have a difference of 4,000 and I'm going, how the hell? There's no figure there for 4,000. When I divide the 4,000 by two, I get 2,000. And then I go, oh, there's a capital figure there for 2,000. Ah, would you look, I subtracted the capital figure instead of added it. So if you add something instead of subtracting it, that can do it as well. So that is that. And finally, and I don't know whether any of you are guilty of it, I know I certainly was. If you're out by a number that looks like, you know, say 18,000 or 27,000 or 9,000. So if your figure is out by a clear multiple of 9, yeah? So
Mm-hmm.
say your example is 9,000. My difference is 9,000. How the hell? There's no 9,000 there. How am I 9,000 out? Here's my guarantee to you. If you are 9,000 out, you have put in 21,000 as 12,000. You've transposed the numbers. Yeah. And if you put in, 42,000 instead of 24,000, that'll be 180,000 out or 18,000 out. So once you see a number like that's divisible by 9, it means somewhere you've transposed a number in your calculations. And it's an easy thing to do. And that's
Yeah.
why I had to learn that one a long time ago. So that is that. And I've said to you already, and I'll say it again, if the balance sheet doesn't balance and you can't find it, once your 40 minutes is up, stop and move on. You might get an extra 1 or 2 marks at this stage. If you have the format right and most of the numbers right, you will have most of the marks gained at that stage. So then move on to question 2. Is that okay? Forget it. You're not here to get 100%. You're here to get, yeah, a pass. All right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's all that's involved in question 1. I see my time has flown. Um, but again, I hope you find it worthwhile. Um, on the second question, which is you have 3 sets of data, three, P&L accounts and balance sheets. In the real exam, I don't mind telling you. So in the mock exam, you have 3 different years for one company, and you have to pick the best year. In the exam, it'll be 3 different companies where you have to pick which the best company is. Is that
All right.
okay? So
Okay.
it's the same set of data, it's the same formulations, etc., etc. But it's, you know, that's, just you're confused. And again, look at the instructions. 3 things here you have to do. Calculate any 6 ratios of your choice for each of the 3 years. And it should include one ratio from each: profitability, liquidity, management efficiency. And then B is write a short comment on each. And C, based on the ratios chosen, state whether you consider them to be low, medium, or high risk, and whether you'd extend a credit limit of 50 grand. So there's your question. There's all the numbers for this company. So you'll be asked, what credit line um, would you assign to them? So in terms of that, um, again, whatever way you do it, but just do it very simply. You will also you have a list of all the ratios. So for example, if you decide, okay, so it's asked me to do 3, it's asked me to do profitability. So I'm going to do net profit. Um, I might do gross profit. Uh, so they're my 2 profitability ratios. The other ones are solvency, or liquidity. So I'll do my current ratio, and I'll do my quick. And management efficiency, I'm going to do debtor days, and I'm going to do creditor payment. So that is that. So there's the 6 that you're going to pick. So, and you have the formulas in the notes, and I hope you have that page. And in fact, what we're going to do is we didn't even do it in the mock paper, but what we will do in the real exam is we will actually include, as one of the last tabs on the real exam paper, a list of ratios for you, just to take the stress out of it. So I know that net profit is net profit divided by sales multiplied by 100. So I can do it here, net profit, and you can take either net profit figure as long as it's consistent, divided by sales, which is that. And there we go. And then if I can format that, format cells in percentages. Okay, boom. So I know my net profit is 5.94%. Yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
And because I have done a formula and it's the information is in three different lines, all I have to do is that to get the last 3 years. So that is 2023, 2022, and 2021. So there is my tree. So the first thing you have to do here is 18 sums. Gross profit. I know the gross profit is the gross profit divided by the sales. Divided by sales. There we go. I also want to format that into format sales into percentage. Okay. And I can just copy that across. So now I can see there's my net profit, there's my gross profit. My current ratio is my current assets divided by my current liabilities. So there's my current assets divided by my current liabilities. There it is there. So 1.51. Now I just do that as two places of decimal or something, just to not to have it unwieldy. So that's that. So there's my current ratio, etc., etc. So just literally go through the things. Like I've done that in 5 minutes. You have 40 minutes to do it on the real exam. So however you find to do it as well, just do it. But here is the next thing, and you can do it here as well. You can do a comment. So it does ask you to calculate the ratios, which is the part one, and then write a short comment on each of the six ratios or on any combination of the ratios. So what we're looking for here is, so the net profit ratio. So in this example, it's almost a perfect company. So your net profit was 2.84, it's gone to 3.6, it's gone to 5.9. So the net profit is going up year on year on year, which is brilliant. My gross profit is going up. So just explain that you know what a gross profit is, what a net profit is. Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it a cause for concern? Just to literally, we're looking at one or two lines. It's not writing a book on it, just to show that you understand it and the implications of it as well. And then finally, based on the ratios you've chosen, whether you'd consider them to be a low, medium, or high risk. Now, look, if you have time, you can do your table with the one, two, threes, or you might even do it here. So what does it say? you know, Again, when you have three different companies, that'll be an easier one to sort of identify the one that's the high risk and the one that's the low risk. So again, say yes, high, medium, or low. And in this case, because their profits are going up, their debtor days are coming down, everything is right, and the company is now worth, 500,000 quid. Would I give them 50 grand all day long? All day long. They're solvent, they're profitable, they're established. Of course I give them 50 grand. Now that's not saying the exam will give you a basket case. So we want your evaluation as to whether you think they're good or bad or indifferent. And two of you could give me two totally different answers. One could say, yes, I'd be happy to give them 50 grand, and somebody else can say, no, I wouldn't give them 50 grand. And it's the logic behind whether you would or you wouldn't. I would give it to them because they're solvent, they're profitable, they're worth this, they're worth that. I did the working worth calculation in the notes, and that comes up with a figure of 120,000. So I would be happy to give them 50. You might say, look, they're, in my estimation, they're taking far too long to pay their creditors, blah, blah, blah. And I wouldn't be happy to giving them 50 grand. So as long as your answer is borne out with evidence from the figures and that is correct, then both will get marks for that. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you get those two questions right, you have 80% of the marks. And that's all that's required. And then the individual questions then. So what I said I would do is that I would also, and I also said it would be an hour and I lied because it's now a minute past three. But in the last 5 minutes, what I will do is, and in terms of my workings here, I was just thinking about that afterwards. Have you received the solutions to the mock paper? I think Angelina was to send it out over the weekend.
Yeah.
I haven't really
Yeah, I
sure.
think we have it. Yeah.
So yeah, so you do have a spreadsheet with the solutions in it. So by all means, go and have a look through that. It'll only be meaningful if you have a go at it yourself first, and then use the solutions to see where you went wrong. If you look at the question, look at the solution, you go, that's easy. Yeah. When you look at the question and you have a blank sheet of paper, it's not so easy. So that's why I'm saying just have a go at it yourselves. Now, the final thing, and again now, just that you're clear, this is only for the people who are doing the exam on Saturday. So on Saturday, your 8 questions are your 6 questions. So question one and question two, you know what that is. Are you ready for the steer for the other questions?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Question three is going to be on cash flow. Okay, I don't know what module it's in the notes. So there is a
Okay.
question on cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
Question four is going to be on stock. You know, the first in, first out, and last in, first out, and all that
Mm-hmm.
sort of nonsense. And that's the easiest question if you know, because there's only one number you have to calculate. So anyway, if you know it, and if you don't, then forget about it. Question five is going to be on bad debt provisions. So you're going to be given a ledger that's aged and recommend a general and a specific and all that bad
Mm-hmm.
debt provision for those
Yep.
figures. That is that.
Yep.
Question six, and this comes from the latter modules as well, which is the Z scores. Do you remember the 1-2 scoring, whether it's up or
Mm-hmm.
down or whatever the case may be? And question seven is exactly the same as question seven in the on the mock paper. Where is it there? I'll just go back and share. Share. So you have your table with your percentages already filled in, and then you have to put 0, 1, 2, or whatever in here. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
So 0 for the best and 1 for the middle and 2 for the worst. So you just slot in those figures to get a scoring system. So there will be a very similar question on the exam paper to that. So it'll be a similar table, and you have to score it 0, 1, 2, or 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to do. Is that
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
And then question eight. Question eight is always going to be the same. Um, and it's a multiple choice question. Now, to me, I would avoid that like the plague. It is the trickiest of all the exam questions in it. Might look simple. It's not. And even for me, I would find that tricky. But there is a multiple choice. There's 10 questions there, which is question eight, which is a multiple choice. And again, bearing in mind you have 20 minutes to do it, 2 minutes each. It's that is not easy. Yeah. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, because you know there's no negative marking, go on, you can fill that sentence yourselves.
Okay.
And you can also answer a third question. So look, if time is short and why not mark something down in the hope you get a mark that might make all the difference in the end. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't spend much time on it though. I would avoid that question, but that's just me. We're giving you the option. So, and as I say, for the credit management paper, go back to the email I sent on Saturday afternoon and listen to what Paul has to say there, because he
Mm-hmm.
is. And if you want to fast forward to the last 10 minutes when he gives you the heads up on the exam, that's okay too.
Okay.
Is that an hour well spent?
It
Yeah,
is,
that was
yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank
no, it
you.
is.
Do you feel more confident
Calm.
now doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma, your reaction didn't inspire confidence in
No,
me.
no, all good.
Hello?
All good.
It's all good, is it?
Hmm.
Yeah, okay. So you are ready. Okay, so look, that's it as it stands. I'll stop. No, well, I'll stop recording when I'm finished. Um, so I will share this recording. As it stands, you are all doing the exams on Saturday, and as I have Michelle and Emma to do the risk on the 3rd of February at 3 o'clock. Uh,
Third or fourth? Is it the third
Fourth,
of
fourth.
fourth? No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
It's the
Thank you, Declan.
Tuesday because it's a bank holiday here on the Monday, so that's why.
Oh, of course, me too.
So it's Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And look, I'll be in touch with you beforehand. And look, if you get a notion and you think, do you know what? Do I need this hanging over me between now and the 3rd of February?
Yeah,
Um, you know, sure, what's the worst that could happen? Give it a
I
go.
know.
I'll have
That's
to
it.
do it again. So just let me know in advance because as
I
it
will do.
stands, I won't be sending you the paper. If you want me to send the paper, just let me know. And I say my advice is get it out of the way, get shut of it. There's no point. If the stuff you don't like, get rid of it as quick as you can.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Listen, it's been a pleasure.
Super stuff, Declan. Thank you.
Have a great
Appreciate
day,
that.
and I'll talk to you later, folks. Take
Same to
care.
Thank
yourself.
you.
Bye, bye,
Thanks.
bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.